Well, from Ayre Michael, we have Tim Johnston with us, and Tim, your first year, so we better start with that because it's what the first section is about. Has it been all right for you? Does it live up to expectations, being a member of the House of Keys?
It's a great privilege, actually, Paul, to do it. And I was obviously delighted to be elected. And yeah, it's it's one of those jobs until you actually get into it, you don't really know what it's all about. And it's been a real challenge, but very exciting, and thoroughly enjoying it.
Okay. Well, what made you do it? I mean, you put your name forward. You obviously thought things weren't going correctly. I mean, am I right in this? You wanted to put your head above the parapet and get in some sort of control on what's going on?
I think so. I had my views going in there. As I said, I very much talked about making sure there's representation for farming, for the rural economy in there. I think obviously I was president of the National Farmers Union before standing, so I'd had that dialogue with government. I was used to sort of that understanding what was going on, and I felt that I could contribute. Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk about that. I mean, farming above everything else. I mean, you obviously have a massive interest in that. Do you feel that you're there in that sense more so for farmers than just your area?
No, I think it's important. I mean, it's an important part of our island. I think it's underestimated. But no, I mean, I think I don't just talk about agriculture, but I think it is very important. I mean, the farmers manage something like 80% of our landscape. They're a hugely important part of our society, and it is important. We talk about having mainly independent MHKs. I think it's important that every sector is represented.
Because some time ago, it was almost all farmers, wasn't it? I mean, there's a massive amount of people in there had farming background. Not so much now these days.
No, that's right. It's very much changed. So, I think that's fine. I mean, like I say, it's not right to have one sector overly subscribed, but I do think it's important there is a voice. So
you're happy to be with inside government. Remind us what you're in. Department-wise?
I'm in the Department of Enterprise, and I've got political responsibility for the business agency. So that's looking at export, mainly engineering and manufacturing, as well as larger hospitality and construction. I was pleased to go into the Department of Enterprise. Yeah, I think coming again from a self-employed, more business background, I was quite keen to get into that department, so I was happy to be there, really.
And still leaderless?
Still leaders at the moment, yes. It's been a bit of flux, unfortunately, in that department, but obviously at some point the Chief Minister will be making a decision on that.
I'll come to that in part two about your expectations and your aspirations. But tell us about his first year. What have you done? Give us some sort of ideas of where have you been, what have you been doing, and representing your area.
Absolutely. Well, obviously constituency-wise, I do try and get out and about, making sure talking to people, listening to the issues, and I think it's a great privilege to help people in the constituency, and I try and do that as much as I possibly can. And getting to grips with the Department for Enterprise. When you go into government, there's a lot to learn, a lot to understand. But when I reflect on my manifesto, I was very keen on understanding and seeing a plan for the island, and I'm quite enthused by the economic strategy. I think that's really important.
What, the island plan?
Yeah, I think that's really, really important, and I certainly talked about that in my manifesto. The need for the island to have a real strategy, because that underpins everything. So that's something I'm quite keen to see and very happy to be involved within the department, and the Department of Enterprise has got a lot to do, obviously, within that. So
this island plan, I mean, you were all given your sort of briefings before the event. Did you have much input yourselves at that stage, or did you just let it go to Tim Moulton and you vote it through, sort of thing?
No, I think to be fair, the Chief Minister right from the start engaged all members in that process. We had plenty of opportunity to talk about it, to input into that. I think we all came away from the election with some very clear ideas and concerns that were really across the island. And as you said at the time, I think last time we were chatting, all you heard about was housing, but actually it's a huge, huge issue, and of course what we're seeing now is all the other issues around that are related to that as well. These are the big issues that people want to see tackled. So
for the island, I mean, as you say, it's not just your area.
Oh no, absolutely, it's across the island, absolutely.
But your area, do you still feel you're sort of backwater to some degree? I mean, what the north doesn't get as much attention as other places. I mean, do you have to battle hard to keep it at the forefront?
Well, all different areas have got different issues, and obviously Ayre and Michael is a very rural constituency. It's the largest constituency geographically.
A lot of walking around there, wasn't
there? A lot of walking
when
around.
You were doing
there
your
was a lot of walking
canvassing.
Around. 6 parishes, villages. No major towns, so it is different that way. So obviously, I've talked a lot about the importance of having better quality roads and infrastructure. Buses have been an issue I've talked about a lot because these are issues that do affect areas like Ayre and Michael and are really important.
You have a chief minister obviously doing the same area. Has that made it more that you have to deal with constituency more because he's got the island and the nation to look after, or is that overdoing it? I mean, how's it work for you?
Yeah, I think there's certainly situations where the chief minister and I work together with constituency issues, and there are times that we get on with our own areas.
But do you work together?
We have our joint surgeries.
But do you get on together? I mean,
yes, I think we do. Yeah, I mean, I voted for Mr. Cannon to be chief minister. I think he was the right person for the job. I haven't changed my mind on that. I think that's a positive thing. So yeah, certainly happy to work with him and be involved.
So highlights of the last 12 months of administration. What have you done? What can you say? I don't know. If you voted for this or that or whatever. I mean, how do you sum it up?
It's few people said the same thing. We got sort of parachuted into sort of quite an interesting time, as you know. So there's been some quite big decisions to make. But again, I think for me, the idea of having that clear strategy is really important, and seeing and making sure that's carried through. So when you get controversial issues like the Liverpool landing stage, which I voted to support that happening, because from my point of view, am I happy with the situation? No. Is anybody happy with the situation? No. But at the same time,
it's just gone too far to do anything else.
We've got to get on. These things for the economy, for the future, we have to have these facilities. So the idea of voting against things like that, for me, that's not my bag at all. Unfortunately, what we do need to make sure is the government, and it's awful word, learn the lessons, but it's absolutely important that they do that. And I know there's already structures in place, for example, limitations on what departments can spend independently, and I think that's right, because there needs to be that trust and accountability.
And the size of government, I mean, how do you feel about that? And I mean, we heard this week another 190 something odd people have been put onto the payroll in the last year. Are you comfortable the way that's going, or would you like to see a slimmer, leaner, fitter government? I mean, what do you think?
Absolutely. I think I would like to see a leaner, fitter government. I think that's a process. These things take time, and again, once you have a clear plan of what you're doing, you can start making those changes, and you start changing the structure of government. And again, what's really important is we get away from the short-term sort of election cycle of making decisions. The idea that you have that first 12 months, people find their feet, then there's like a couple of years where things get done, and then everyone's thinking about the next election. You cannot make decisions. You cannot make strategy and make big decisions for the long-term future of the island on that basis. You've got to have a much longer process, and that's why I support the idea of having that longer process. And then you can start making those changes, those structures. You can start then looking at how these things work, and as far as numbers in government, etc., you do it properly in a sustainable way.
So you've been in a year. Are you up to speed now? Do you feel you're completely running on full now, and you have the whole process underhand, to know what you're going to be doing, or is it still a learning curve?
Constant, I think, because you don't know what's coming in all the time. Because again, you can plan what you like. What comes in from the sides and what buffets everything, you've got no control over. But that's why it's important you have that clear strategy and plan through that.
And speaking up to what's happened in the last 12 months, we have started this process of seeing everything going crazy with the prices and energy and that sort of thing. That must throw everything out there, doesn't it? I mean, all the costings, everything goes out the window. And I mean, and getting back to your farmers, they must be feeling the pinch more than anybody, aren't they, with all this business with getting stuff that they need.
It's been absolute nightmare. We've seen, obviously, with massive increases in energy prices, obviously oil fertiliser is very much linked to oil production, So we've seen huge increases in fertiliser prices. So yeah, huge pressures on farmers, but again, huge pressures across the economy for everybody. And yeah, it's a really worrying time.
Okay.
A really worrying time.
We'll talk more in next section. But have you enjoyed it? Let's just finish with that. Have you enjoyed being an MHK?
Yes, I have. I found it very fulfilling.
Yeah.